So Sodfa, I'll be playing the ULEAD song, and then we will start in around 2 minutes. But immediately the song ends, feel free to start it off, okay? Yeah, I think people will already be coming in a few minutes now. Thank you. MC Benny.
Come on, East Africa.
Ha!
Disapare.
Tell them. Afrika Mashariki. Twaja pamoja.
From country to country, yeah. We gotta work together. We are leaders now. Aiming hard for the better. Together. To make our nations greater. While sharing to the power. So you lead, I lead, we lead together. So you lead, I lead, we lead together. We will lead, let your dream be a reality. We will lead, let your dream be a reality.
Together we shape with responsibility as young people with ability. Here we are to take the opportunity to raise the flag of East Africa. Together with love, together with peace, together respond to our need, together transform our community as we see light and a brighter future. Let's join hands for youth and women. Let's join hands for youth and women.
Afrika Mashariki yote twaungana, vijana vijana toka Kenya, Tanzania, Uganda, Burundi hadi South Sudan na Rwanda. Twaja pamoja ili fanye nini? Vijana wote.
I lead, we lead together. So you lead, I lead, we lead together. We will lead, let your dream be a reality. We will lead, let your dream be a reality.
Over to you,
Good morning and good afternoon from wherever you are connecting from, African youth, and happy International Youth Day. At ULEAD Africa, we celebrate young people today and every day, as our mission is to connect youth from across the continent and showcase your leadership and innovation in politics, business, and peace and security. Yes, because you are the leaders of today. My name is Sodfa Daji, and I'm the Strategic and Technical Advisor for Global and Continental Engagements at ULEAD Africa, the Pan-African Youth Program co-hosted by MS Training Center for Development Cooperation and the East African Community. This year, I'm excited to embark on a new journey as the ULEAD Africa Summit Director. And our ULEAD Africa Summit is taking place from November 8 to November 12, 2021. So please take a look at our social media channels as we will open applications very soon. On behalf of MS Training Center for Development Cooperation and ULEAD Africa Secretariat, I warmly welcome you to this intergenerational dialogue on fresh perspectives on youth agricultural innovations from the world's youngest continent. And the dialogue will be followed up by the pre-launch of Youth Hub Arusha. So please stay with us for the next 2 hours as we hear from remarkable young people from across the continent, and we celebrate you all. Today is International Youth Day, and the theme is Transforming Food Systems, Youth Innovations for Human and Planetary Health, with the aim of highlighting that the success of such a global effort will not be achieved without the meaningful participation of young people. ULEAD African partners have decided to specifically focus on the sub-theme, Fresh Perspectives on Youth Agricultural Innovations from the world's youngest continent, in recognition of the need for inclusive support mechanisms that ensure youth continue to amplify efforts collectively and individually to restore the planet and protect life while integrating biodiversity in the transformation of food systems. In Africa, the COVID-19 pandemic has drastically impacted food security. Supply chains, food and nutrition security, as well as current and future production functions, have been negatively impacted by several factors. While acknowledging that food security was a major challenge on the continent even before the pandemic, the onset of the COVID-19 crisis has exacerbated the continent's food security problems. The African Economic Research Consortium recounts that African economies need to urgently examine solutions to help overcome the critical issue of food insecurity. This will require a collaborative approach by African governments, public and private sector, and pooling of resources and sharing of knowledge aimed at alleviating the severe food insecurity situation. It is against this backdrop that we're holding this important discussion with a special opening address by the Deputy Head of the European Union Delegation to Tanzania, His Excellency Mr. Emilio Rossetti, and a panel of distinguished youthful ladies and gentlemen from the continent. And the interactive panel will feature Dr. Sara Edewor, agricultural economist from Nigeria, Patricia Jepkorir, founder of Horti Grid Limited from Kenya, Haikali Ndatulumukwa, founder of Youth in Agriculture from Namibia, and Rose Kelly, the EAC Youth Ambassador Platform member from Rwanda. Ladies and gentlemen, it is an honor to now invite His Excellency Mr. Emilio Rossetti, Deputy Head of the European Union Delegation to Tanzania, to deliver the opening remarks, noting the support that the European Union Delegation in Tanzania has been extending in the area of sustainable agriculture and in East Africa through the EU Markup program. Welcome, His Excellency.
Thank you very much, Sodfa, and greetings to all those who are attending this very important event. I will read some notes that for a few minutes, because the EU ambassador, Mr. Manfredo Fanti, could not be here. He is absent from the country and he could not deliver this intervention. So I'm replacing him, and I hope that my notes will help you to open up the discussion. The world today is very young. It is home to 1.2 billion young people aged 15 to 24, representing the largest young generation in history. Africa is leading in the number of young men and women. In Tanzania, the median age is 17 years, which means that half of Tanzanian citizens are 17 or below. This is a challenge, but also a great opportunity, as Africa and Tanzania should, and indeed shall, get a boost from such large part of their population becoming economically active. We, the older generation, shall soon rely on you to tackle challenges that are increasingly vast in scale, global in nature. Do I need to remind you what we all read these days on the news about COVID-19 and climate change? For the European Union, youth has been identified as one of the key priorities by Commissioner Jutta Urpilainen the woman who is in the EU executive is leading on international partnerships and development and cooperation instruments. Within the European Union, we set up a youth strategy aimed at promoting youth participation in democratic life, supporting social and civic engagement, and aiming to ensure that all young people have the necessary resources to take part in society. Outside the Union, in our development cooperation, Commissioner Urpilainen pledged a significant increase of EU development aid devoted to education. More recently, just a couple of months ago, she decided to appoint as a global special advisor on youth a young African lady, Bitania Lulu Berano, as a sign of the EU very keen attention to youth in Africa. And we have a number of specific activities targeting ambitious and dynamic youth from Africa, such as the Erasmus Mundus joint master degrees, which we have been promoting for some years now. For those interested, applications are usually open around October and closed in February the following year. We also offer an internship here at our EU delegation offices in Dar es Salaam to a young Tanzanian twice a year. Youth with an emphasis on young women and girls is also a cross-cutting priority for the European Union here in Tanzania, where I work. One of our objectives is to ensure youth are heard and empowered as young leaders, so they can be the actors of change needed for the sustainable development of Tanzania. We are in fact convinced that young generations represent a key actor for change and development. Tapping into this potential and supporting young women and men is key for sustainable development. The theme of International Youth Day 2021 is Transforming Food Systems, Youth Innovation for Human and Planetary Health. Young people can and are already providing novel solutions to today's global challenges. We have already seen the increasing leadership role of youth in fighting climate change, transform our food systems, and protect biodiversity. The EU supports several initiatives to promote the food system approach and to link healthy diets to sustainable agriculture, including in Tanzania. Together with the Tanzanian government and other non-state partners, the EU funds climate resilient and nutrition sensitive agriculture projects that actively involve youth. Awareness activities on healthy diets, kitchen and school gardens are ongoing at village and district level, as well as on youth entrepreneurship and training to boost local horticulture production and processing in the southern islands of Tanzania and in Zanzibar, where we have projects with NGOs. Through its many initiatives, the EU favors, in particular, agricultural practices that are environmentally friendly and protect biodiversity, as well as consumer health, such as organic farming, agroforestry, reduction of chemical fertilizer and pesticides, local seeds multiplication, and eco-villages, doing this through a number of different projects. At national level, the EU supports research and policy work on sustainable food systems, involving all stakeholders and adopting a multi-sectoral approach. Specific support is also available to improve the business environment, facilitating entrepreneurship and access to finance with specific attention to youth and women. The EU is also active at regional and international levels with several initiatives aiming at promoting exchanges of knowledge, concepts, and best practices, adopting the farm-to-fork approach in food safety assurance, as well as certification of agriculture produce and trade. While there are opportunities offered to you, but also great need of your inputs to better grasp what is youth's understanding of food system, what are their ambitions and needs to work in this field. The European Union welcomes this opportunity today to discuss issues related to food security and sustainable food systems, and in particular, the prominent role that youth can play in addressing these complex issues in Tanzania. To conclude my remarks, rest assured we will continue working together closely with youth in Tanzania. As Commissioner Urpilainen said, young people have the potential to transform their societies. We do believe that open consultations and more structured dialogue, bringing together youth community from different regions and relevant stakeholders, will help in identifying mutually acceptable solutions to enhance the sustainable and inclusive development of Tanzania, the region, and Africa. I wish the best for the forthcoming discussions and hope that today's celebration of the International Youth Day will bring fresh ideas and recommendations on priorities, as perceived by the young generations, in working towards more equitable food systems. Thank you.
Thank you, His Excellency, for the valuable remarks, and we extend our appreciation and warm greetings to His Excellency Ambassador Fanti. And we remain grateful to the European Union development's effort to position young people at the front, both within and outside the European Union. And thank you for highlighting the activities such as the Erasmus Mundus and the internship within the delegation. As well, we appreciate the highlight and emphasis on young women and vulnerable youth. The best practices highlighted are pivotal. Indeed, protection of biodiversity, climate justice, and sustainable food systems are a key priority to ensure a sustainable development of our continent. And within our activities, as you lead Africa, we have heard of multiple innovations led by young people in food safety, which provided jobs for young people, specifically young women. And in this regard, we thank the European Union delegation to Tanzania for joining and to hear directly from young people. So once again, thank you, His Excellency, for the remarks. And I would like now to open the dialogue by handing over to my colleague, Franklin Mireri, who will be moderating the dialogue. And I very much look forward to hearing from the young people in our panel. Franklin?
Thank you so much, Sotfa. Let me join you in appreciating the EU delegation to Tanzania and the East African community, and Your Excellency Emilio Rossetti for setting aside time for this. We really appreciate, and we may definitely understand that we know your colleagues also on these platforms, so we invite them and we appreciate their time. So feel free, if time will allow, feel free to stay in. If not, we will understand. But allow me now to invite a wonderful panel. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we have a continental panel drawn from across Africa. We have Dr. Sara Edewor, who's tuning in from Nigeria. We have Haikali Ndatulumukwa coming in all the way from Namibia. We have Patricia Jepkorir coming in all the way from Kenya, and then we also have Rose Kelly, who is actually 7 hours away. She will be joining us in a while. Her alarm may not have gone off yet on time, but she is in the United States and she'll be joining us soon. So allow me to start off this session to introduce to you a wonderful, distinguished lady who is also a scholar, and Dr. Sara Edewor is an agricultural economist concerned with a heavy focus on agricultural production, particularly on improving farmers' yields and income, without commensurate attention to the marketing and trade requirements for the farmers' products or the nexus between production and market needs. I know that sounds like a mouthful, but Dr. Sara will give us more about her passion. And to respond to this gap, Sara has identified her niche in terms of provision of a service which acts as an interface between farmers and production needs and market requirements. And also, in addition, Dr. Sara is a member of the African Continental Free Trade Area Youth Inclusion Accelerator Project ad hoc working group, which started implementation this year and is being run by ULEAD Africa and a number of partners across the continent. So without further ado, Dr. Sara, allow us to start with this question. First and foremost, kindly share with us what inspired you into the field of agriculture. What was that inspiration that inspired you into the field of agriculture? Dr. Sara, welcome.
All right, thank you very much, Franklin. It's nice to be here today on the International Youth Day. What inspired me to become an agriculturist? You know, I've always known that there's issue because we like, let me use Nigeria as a case study. We have so much, yet a lot of people are suffering. So I had to ask myself, why is there so much poverty in the midst of plenty? There has to be a solution. So that was one of the reasons why I decided to look at what are the driving forces? What do we do to correct these problems? So let me just say that was just the main thing for me. I need to find a solution to this problem. And I know the same problem is occurring in every African country. We need to find a solution. Why have so much and yet there's so much poverty?
Thank you for that. Why is there so much and yet there's poverty all around? Thank you for that. And ladies and gentlemen, feel free. There will be an interactive 20 to 30 minutes segment just for your questions. Wherever you're tuning in from, we see members have already started typing on the chat where they're coming from and the organizations they're affiliated to. Feel free to do that. And also there'll be a time for you to ask directly the questions with your video on. If you prefer, you'll just put your hand up and you'll be able to direct your question to whoever of the panelists would want to respond. So to proceed, Dr. Sara, as a researcher, you have definitely come across a number of challenges that are hindering sustainable agriculture on the continent. What are those three challenges which you think if African youth, if you and I who are here on this call and others, if African youth can solve in the agricultural realm, they can have an impact on for increased food production on the continent. So what are those three challenges that you see that are affecting agriculture? And if the youth come together with the ingenuity and time, we can be able to solve. Over to you.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Franklin. I had realized that every country in Africa, we have something in abundance. There's a product we have, probably that another country does not have, even if you have it. The youth as a group, we need to identify our areas of strength. In economics, we call it areas of comparative advantage. But there are times you do not even have comparative advantage in a particular problem, but you are willing to put so much into tapping the resources within that particular product. So I feel we need to identify one, we need to identify areas in which we have comparative advantage. That's one. Two, we need to also identify our strength. As a person, what are you good with? Are you good in production? If you look at the agricultural value chain, is it the production? Is it pre-production? Some of these skills we gain or we learn by through education, through training. So while some of them are things that we met our parents doing. So the question will be, what area can you come in? Are you coming in as a consultant because you have studied that particular value chain? You need to be able to give solutions with respect to whatever challenge that is being faced. If it's the marketing aspect, what are the challenges that are impeding the sales or probably the flow of this particular commodity into the market? You need to identify such challenges. Then again, you could look at packaging, certification. If you're entering the export market, what are the things that will impede the penetration of the product into the market? So you should be asking yourself, okay, what are the certifications? If it has to do with live animals, are there sanitary or phytosanitary measures that you need to put into play? If it has to do with probably grains and cereals, you want to know the level of aflatoxin contamination. You have to get international standards for whatever it is, whatever product you want to introduce into the market. I believe that has answered the question.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Sara. I think this is an opportune time to now bring in Patricia Jepkorir into this discussion. You have heard what Dr. Sara has mentioned. You have also had the challenge that the EU delegation, deputy head of delegation, His Excellency Emilio Rossetti mentioned about the importance of young people contributing practically to this challenge of food security in Africa and the continent. So my question to you, Patricia, even before I introduce you formally, Patricia, you are the founder of the managing director of Horti Limited, which is an agricultural and horticultural firm that provides a blended package of agribusiness and agronomic solutions. Sounds like a mouthful to me, but it's also tailored towards enterprise planning, production, and market access. So as an entrepreneur in the world of agribusiness, money and profits are important in any sector. So what advice can you give to young people as they seek to venture into agriculture, either full-time or part-time, with an aim of making a profit? Over to you, Patricia. I think you may mute. Yes.
Okay, thanks a lot, Franklin, for the introduction. The panelists and other viewers, my name is Patricia and I'm from Kenya, and I'm happy to be here. So straight to your question, Franklin, you've asked me something that is geared towards the numbers, like how do we make profits really? So, and my advice to young farmers, if they're going to make money from agribusiness, first of all, I'll mention two things. As a young person, you have to really research before you get into agribusiness. We know that agribusiness is not only crop production, there's also animal production, there's also service provision. I mean, there's a whole array of things that you can do in agribusiness. When we say it's the backbone of our economy in sub-Saharan Africa, it's really true, because everything is centered and geared around it. So as a young person, realize that you have a whole playground to really participate in. That is one. And secondly, we have to change what I call our attitude, which I've dubbed and coined. Change your agritude, your attitude towards agribusiness. So that once you have those two things in place, you have the right attitude and you realize you have a whole playing ground, then you're set to go. So if you decide to get into any of these places, either crop production or animal production or service provision in any of these value chains in these areas, yeah, you have to do your research a lot. Before you put in your money, find out what works. And as you research, also consider something. You're a human. At the end of the day, you're going to be the enterprise leader in your own area of specialization. So identify your strengths. And I like what Dr. Sara said. Find out what is good for you. Some of us cannot be in production. Some of us cannot be there are people who don't like the farm, but they have solutions that can be, directed to farmers who are actually doing the actual production. So identify your strengths. Are you in production? Are you in service provision? Are you in information? Are you even in agri-financing? Are you in project creation and project management? There's so much you can do. So research what works, identify your areas of strength. Then the third, once you figured those two out, identify a niche area very early and focus on it. Because I remember when I started, it was so hard. You don't know whether to go into production, you don't know whether to go into service provision, you're all over the place. You're hardly making money, but you're so busy. So identify your niche area very early. You can do trials, give it 2 weeks at most, figure out, does it work with me? Does it make me feel good? If it doesn't, leave it alone, go to the next one until you identify what really works for you. So pick a niche area very early and then focus on it. Now, once you've identified your area of interest, well, now in practice, be very patient. Agribusiness is not miracle. It doesn't happen overnight. It involves processes. If you're gonna plant something, you have to wait for a few months to see results. If you're going to start a project, it will take a while to organize people, to organize everything, So patience is key. Youths, we have to be patient. Agribusiness is not Instagram. It's not instant, So you have to be very patient. And then you have to understand the value chain dynamics. Things keep changing along the value chain. It's not just, it's not business as usual every day. Things keep changing. There's political turmoil. There's COVID. That one was first of all there. That one really came at us. COVID happened. We made losses. People had to re-strategize. Where do I go? What do I start doing from here? So understand value chain dynamics and be ready for whatever happens. Understand your production ecosystem. You might want to do a particular production project somewhere, but you're the only person there. What kind of support do you have? None. Do you have markets? None. So you have to be within a production ecosystem, which will now guide you towards having networks and having the right people strategically placed in your area of interest in that area. So the production ecosystem is something that most youths undermine. It's very important to know what you're doing and where, and who is around you to support you. And then networks. That goes with the networks that you have. Which service providers along this value chain are there to support you? And then also, very important, a lot of people want to act like they're superheroes or something. You have to work with agribusiness professionals. I cannot, and I don't know how to put it, not emphasize that, because we see a lot of farmers saying, I'll do it myself, I'll Google, I will do this. No, there's someone who has been taken for a training to understand how crops grow for a period of 4 years. Respect that guy, work with them. Seek for help from areas where these people are situated. Is it the nearest veterinary center? Is it the nearest agribusiness center? Is it the nearest agronomic support center? Figure out which one works for you. Work with agribusiness professionals. And then agribusiness professionals on the other hand, because you're also in agribusiness. Learn to package your services properly. Understand your market. Who are these people? What services do they need? How am I going to attract them? I am sure this is Africa, yeah? We have what we call government extension service providers. I could criticize them and say, probably being in the system, in such a structured system, they've not evolved to really understand how to package this for the new farmer, the new age farmer who can simply say, I'm going to Google. So it's a two-way thing. Young people learn to work with these agribusiness professionals, and on the other hand, the agribusiness professionals learn to package your services for the purposes of this new farmer. So, and finally, change your attitude. We need to stop looking at agriculture as something that is done by people who did not go to school.
Thank you.
Yes, so change your attitude, realize it's something anyone can do. You can plug in from tech, you can plug in from finance, you can plug in from science, you can plug in from anything. So that is, I could go on and on that. But that is in a nutshell, the advice I'd give to young farmers, if you're gonna make any profits, being in any field of agribusiness, you have to consider those principles. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Patricia. Patricia and Sara, the two of you have just laid a marker for the entire discussion, and I think even the entire year moving forward. And the participants here are reacting positively to what you're saying. Patricia, you have mentioned that agriculture is not Instagram. You need to be patient. You need to identify your niche market, so to speak. So many things. You've spoken about the need to have professionals, and I think this all ties into what even His Excellency Emilio Rossetti started by saying, hey, this is serious business. Agriculture needs patience. Agriculture is actually the lifeblood of our continent. So thank you for that. I think it's an opportune time to also now head down south, where it's an hour behind East Africa, to Mr. Haikali Ndatulumukwa. Haikali Ndatulumukwa comes to us from Namibia. He was actually appointed in the year 2020 to the National Youth Service of Namibia. He's also, he wears many hats. He's joining us from, we can see from the comfort of his Lexus, whatever make, Mossir, that vehicle is. Haikali Ndatulumukwa. Kindly, just even before we speak, you've heard what Dr. Sara has said, you've heard what Emilio Rossetti's Excellency said, you've heard what Patricia has said. Just tell us, Namibia is known to be a dry country, pretty dry. I think even one of the hottest deserts in Africa is somewhere around there. So introduce yourself and what made you become interested in agriculture? Mr. Haikali Ndatulumukwa, over to you.
Well, thank you for the opportunity, and I apologize to everyone for the background. I just came from another presentation where I was giving a keynote address, and I just came here to come here for some quiet place. So yeah, and thank you for the session and my former presenters. What actually inspired the youth in, to get to your question of Namibia as a dry country and what inspired us is the challenges that inspired us. Namibia firstly is battling with high unemployment rate. We are battling with food insecurity. And the only promising sector that could give us an opportunity to create more jobs and to make us a food sustainable country is the agriculture. The cost of the import from South Africa, we import food from South Africa, and the cost of the food import is around 7 billion. So this means it's 7 billion going out of the country while we have an opportunity to create our own food and at least remain some of the money in the economy. So it was against this background that actually inspired the youth in agriculture. And about the dryland, agriculture is moving digital. Even when you are in the desert or when you are in your town, you can do agriculture in your backyard. So we are actually doing the modernized agricultural system, the advanced ones, and also the innovative ones that is adaptable into in the within the sector of our country regarding now the climate condition.
Thank you, Mr. Haikali. And as you know, this meeting is not my meeting. This meeting is actually your meeting, the people who have joined and set aside time. So we will open up at this time to have the first round of questions. Then we'll proceed to the next round of questions that we have prepared. But right now, I see there are a number of people who have their hands up, like Julius Francis Mtatiro, or any other person who may have a question. Feel free to type it on the chat, or you can raise up your hand and we will open the mic for you. You will feel free to open your video, tell us where you're tuning in from, and then ask your question. And you can say, hey, this question is to Dr. Sara, or this question is to even Emilio Rossetti, who has graciously stayed be behind at least to watch this segment, or to Patricia, or to Mr. Haikali. So feel free. Julius Francis Mtatiro, if your connection allows, this opportunity is yours. So you can unmute yourself, Julius Francis Mtatiro, to ask the question that you have. And any other person who has a question, feel free to raise your hand. Rogers Garwo, I see your hand. So let us give this opportunity to first to Julius Francis Mtatiro. Baraka Martin, I also see your hand. We acknowledge it. Thank you so much. Julius Francis Mtatiro, where you're tuning in from and your question. Welcome, Julius.
Tuning from Tanzania. Hi.
Yes.
I'm tuning from the Tanzania. I heard it from the Dr. Sara. She said something a lot, but to my side, I can say that the great challenge on our contents, we can have a capacity to produce, but the problem comes how we can find the market on this agricultural system, while we can have a chance to control on volume. But the market, when it comes to the time of the market, you cannot afford to find. So we supposed to come with something which can advise or can support the agricultural system to support youth. Because when you find the youth graduated from the university, when come back to the society, they start to find the market. How you can going to be making something in the area, while after producing, they come the problem of finding the market. The great challenge of this one on my side from Dr. Sara, she said something cooperative advantage. You can find Kenya producing something, but Tanzania can be maybe on cotton. Why, when you compare on that, you can find the profit because we exchange from A to B. Tanzania producing maybe something, Kenya producing something. When you come to the market, you can exchange. You can find the cooperative advantage from advantage they're doing. But the great challenge on my side, we have the time to find the market, because now you can have the capacity to control the volume, but you cannot control the price. The great challenge to my side, it's something market on these goods. You can produce, but where to sell it.
Thank you, Julius, for that. Thank you for that. And I believe, Dr. Sara, you have noted it down. Allow me to allow Rogers Garwo, where you're tuning in from, and your question, please. If you might make it a little more direct also, we'll appreciate. Rogers Garwo, over to you.
Okay. Good morning, everyone from Liberia. I'm Rogers M. Gao, the Executive Director of Vibrant Youth Association. This question particularly goes to Madam Patricia. I want to know the steps in marketing, because in Africa, we face a lot of difficulties when it comes to marketing. And for instance, we are talking about the environment, we are talking about the product, we are talking about the prices of the commodity, and how can we promote this? So what are those targets when it comes to marketing? Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you, Rogers. You've said you're tuning in from Liberia?
Yeah.
Thank you, Rogers. So, Patricia, you have noted that question. Allow us to go to Baraka Martin. Baraka Martin, if you can hear us, over to you, Baraka.
Okay, thank you. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Hello, everyone. Okay, thank you, Franklin, for this opportunity. I'm tuning in from Tanzania. My question goes to Ms. Patricia. Ms. Patricia mentioned some areas of interest in agriculture, for example, service provision, again, marketing. Okay, and I would like to ask her how did she found her area of interest? Because she said in the beginning she had no choice what to do. And okay, how did you find your area of interest? And for those who have not started yet investing in agriculture, how can they know in details different areas where you can invest in agriculture? Instead, there's that mind that you have to be a farmer, you are the one to supervise workers. Maybe, okay, can you give other more fields in agriculture where you can invest and get profit? Thank you.
Thank you so much, Baraka. Did you? I may have missed it. Baraka, where are you tuning in from?
I'm tuning in from Tanzania.
Thank you.
Kilimanjaro,
Thank you,
Tanzania, the peak of Africa.
Thank you, Mr. Baraka. So allow us to pose the questions for now, so that we allow Sara, Patricia to respond. Then I'll have an additional question to Mr. Haikali. We can have more questions to Mr. Haikali, and then we can proceed with the program. Over to you, Sara and Patricia. You can start with Sara.
All right, thank you very much, Franklin. In response to the question that was earlier given, he said, his country has a comparative advantage in a particular product. That's Kenya, and let's assume he's supposed to sell it in Tanzania. So the question is this, is saying they have the volume, but there's no price. Like I always advise, when people are planning on entering into agricultural marketing, the question is, have you done your feasibility study? Are you aware of the current world prices for that particular commodity? Since most of the times African countries are actually price takers, you're not price givers. So it means whatever you find in the market is what you accept. In cases where they come to you demanding for that particular product, that's when you can actually give a price for that particular commodity. But when there's a stipulated price in the market, you have to accept that price. So to curtail that problem, the thing is you might necessarily have to do a feasibility study. You want to find out what is the particular product that is in the market and what is the price. Let's assume you are giving in something that is not existing. You have every right to give the price. This is how much I'm selling this particular commodity. Then you people have to eagle and argue to arrive at a point where you would set the price. Thank you.
Thank you, Sara. Patricia, you want to respond to the questions?
Thank you for the questions. So I'll go to the first question. This was something to do with marketing of agricultural produce. And someone asked me, how does one go about marketing, or rather, what are the steps? So first of all, I have to make something very clear.
Patricia, sorry, I think your audio is a little low. I don't know if you could lean in a little closer.
Okay, let me see. In the past, can you hear me now? Am I clearer?
Yes.
Okay. So in the past, farmers used to produce and then look for markets, which has been obsolete, which has been rendered obsolete by now. Now, in current agribusiness practice, people do what we call market-led production, whereby you literally almost produce for a specific market, and people work in reverse. Then that way, you'll be able to understand what does the market want, when does it want it, in what condition, which brings us to standards. And we are seeing that being very clear with issues of exports, because we know that there are conditions to exporting anything. That is at least in terms of, that is like the apex of market-led production. So you're given a volume and you're given a condition on how to meet that market. But if you're going to target the local market, then you need to work with what we call market agents. Understand, remember the research that I mentioned. So find out before you go into production. If you're going to do potatoes, who is going to buy? It's as simple as that. If I do potatoes today, when will I harvest and who is likely to buy? And from history, what has been the prices at that time? What are the likely market challenges I'm going to face? I'm from Kenya. We have a problem with Tanzania as we speak. bringing in a lot of onions and a lot of tomatoes. They're literally killing the market for our own farmers. But that's another whole diplomatic conversation that Frank, probably you guys can lead for future forums. So that's a challenge now for farmers in Kenya. Yes, the season is right, the production is okay, the volumes are good. But unfortunately, there's a glut. From where? From Tanzania. So you see, sometimes marketing really is very tricky. But the best way to do this will be what I call market-led production. Identify your markets and work towards them. Actually, in the future, we will no longer be producing, hoping to supply the markets. We'll be identifying the markets, signing agreements to produce for them, and then supplying them. Which now brings us to marketing again in another perspective. Marketing could be individual or it could be collective, which brings us to the opportunities for market bargaining in the case of collective marketing. So that's why we have what we call production and marketing cooperatives that are organized by farmers. It will be advisable for a young person. Remember the production ecosystem I mentioned. Come together as a production unit, as a common interest group, in the form of a production group, in the form of a cooperative, produce something, and then negotiate for better terms, even with local production, local marketing, than other farmers who are doing individual attempts at marketing. So two things: collective marketing for better prices, better market prices with niche products, that is. And then number two, market-led production, whereby you identify the market and then you work in the rest.
Thank you, Patricia. The good thing, our panelists, dear friends, His Excellency Emilio Rossetti is still on the program here, and probably we could hijack him and ask him a question. Patricia, you alluded to something in terms of collective marketing. Probably we could ask Emilio Rossetti, in Europe, how has Europe managed to overcome the challenge of what actually one of the presenters said? Some countries produce similar goods, and it becomes, for example, if it's Polish poultry, chicken is cheaper than the British or the German or the Italian. So how has Europe managed to overcome these technical challenges that countries go in terms of protecting their markets and their farmers? We see it playing out in East Africa. Probably, I know it might be above our understanding, but just a brief as to how young people can try to fly under the radar and take advantage of the opportunity, but not be caught up in the politics. Your Excellency, if you can, just give us an understanding briefly, and we really appreciate the fact that you're with us here. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Franklin. I'm afraid that I'm really out of my depth. I'm not an agriculturalist. I'm not an expert of agriculture. I'm a diplomat, and as I said, I delivered notes that some more competent colleagues helped me to assemble. But the question you're asking is linked to the history of European integration. So I can just very briefly say that certainly there was a huge investment in terms of subsidies, which cushioned the differences that you mentioned. So there was a large degree of complementarity because Europe is climatically very different. So certainly there was no competition between so many of the EU member states. But where competition exists, it was probably the subsidies that cushioned that by preserving the livelihoods of the people living, and probably also the fact that already by the time the European integration process started, Europe was already heavily industrialized. So agriculture was a relatively small part of GDP, and therefore it was easier even to mobilize enough resources to subsidize agriculture. So it is a different situation. But actually, here, as the delegation is not only accredited to Tanzania, but also to the East African community, we are very much involved into the issues of market integration in East Africa. And clearly, what is really striking for an external observer is to see how small is intra-EAC trade within the East African community. Trade between Uganda and Tanzania is only a tiny proportion, and I'm not talking of agricultural trade overall. balance of trade is a tiny proportion of what is going on between Tanzania and the EU. So clearly, that is a major issue, and there are also not only economical, technical implications, but also political ones. As we look now at the political agenda of a possible enlargement to DRC, for instance, it means that there are some preliminary peace and security issues that have to be sorted out before thinking of integration of such a large new potential possible member state. So this is what I can say.
Thank you so much, Your Excellency, for that, for those insights. And apologies for hijacking you. We have been taken through a very important history lesson as to the challenges that the European Union also went through during the initial stages of formation, and the issue of subsidies was a huge enabler. And also the fact that even you mentioned something that we were probably at different stages of development when the integration kicked in terms of dependence on agriculture. So thank you for those insights. And I hope viewers who are listening, you feel free to chip in any question or any comment that you may have as we proceed to ask a question to Dr. Sara. Dr. Sara, there is one question that has been asked over and over again when we deal with agriculture on the continent, the issue of land ownership. Young people are saying that most of them do not have land ownership and lack of capital. Those two are usually cited as serious challenges for youth involvement in agriculture in Africa. Are there practical solutions that you can share with young people and people listening on this Zoom chat and also the streaming platforms? Young people who want to contribute to food security on the continent, but face the challenge of land ownership. What are those kind of practical solutions that you could proffer to them? Dr. Sara, over to you.
All right, thank you very much, Franklin. Yeah, well, over time, we've always heard that there's always challenge with land ownership. There's always issues getting land and capital, most especially capital, because of course, when you have capital, you can get land. Let me take it from land first. Using Nigeria as a case study, a lot of land belongs to the government. Then the lower portion belongs its owned communally. So being involved in agriculture, especially when you want to make it commercial and using personal land or the one you own, it's a bit difficult for you to expand. So currently, although there are reviews of the national policies, we have the Land Use Act 1978. There's one for 2004, where there are reviews on how to list land. The government now, there are also land, some allowances have been made for people to list land from the government for a specified number of years. That's 99. So getting land for agriculture is not that difficult, yet in some areas it is. With issues of land grabbing going on, of course, people are coming from outside the countries, from Asia and the rest of them, that they're getting land. So I'm sure when you have funds, you'll be able to get land. With respect to capital, there are several ways youth can actually access funds. You could get funds from angel investors. Like I earlier stated, apart from a country having comparative advantage or you discovering a niche, you need to conduct a feasibility study. I remember a training I went to sometimes back, the person said, don't just wake up and decide, I think I want to go into banana production because your neighbor is producing banana. You have to find out what is happening.
I have a feeling we dropped Sara, Dr. Sara.
Hello?
Oh, there you are. We hear you now.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hello? Okay, so you have to conduct your feasibility study, you find out what's obtainable, you find out the requirement. If it's into production, you have to find out what do you require, what are you spending, what is the cost of production. If you're going into marketing, like earlier stated, you want to know, are you partnering with people to ensure that you get the best results? Then you develop, after conduct, you write a good business proposal. You want to target people that will fund, even if the government is giving out loans, you have to come and defend a particular business idea or business plan that is viable. Nobody wants to pump in money into a business that will not work. There are various ways you could get money. You could get angel investors to invest in your business. At the end, when they that business, it could come through grants. There are lots of grants all over now. You have grants that they are limited. They all have specifications, there are conditions. If you cannot meet those conditions, there are times you could come together. It could be a collaboration. You must not work alone. There are lots of businesses now that are owned by youths. Like for a particular training that is organized by the International Institute of Agriculture, that's their agripreneur program. They've actually graduated several students. A lot of them came together to form businesses. So you are not alone. Once you begin to think that you're alone, that's where the problem comes from. If you're not good with writing, you're good with planning, you meet up with people that are of like-minded, you pull your resources together. Someone is good with proposal writing, someone is good in conducting visibility studies, somebody is good in the design, in the innovation. You come together, you come up with viable proposals, which you submit to these bodies. Many a times when some of them do not give you feedbacks. Maybe when your proposal was not successful. And if in case where it's successful, you want to take a step further, when it's not successful, can you tell us where we went wrong so that you can correct that particular challenge? You want to approach banks. It could be microfinance banks, although some of the interest rates are a bit high. Then you want to, family members who actually invest in your business. You have to identify various channels in which you could get funds. So for me, I feel that the no capital thing is an excuse we've been handed over the years. We need to just sit down now and identify in what ways do we access those funds? Are we going to go through? Are we going through commercial loans and all of that? Then come up this fund when we get it. Then with respect to the land, like I earlier said, when you have funds, you do not have land problem. And there are lots of land that are actually lying fallow around you. At times, you need to just identify the owners of the land and ask the person, can I do this using your land for a particular period? How much would you charge me? And again, I will advise people, don't collect anybody's land free of charge, because once you are doing well, they want to collect that land. Be willing to pay for it before you start anything on it, so that person won't come one day and just pack your business off the land.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Sara. Martin Bosire is commenting on the chat that Happy Youth Day, farming is rarely portrayed as a young person's game. And actually, Martin, your comment is what actually has just triggered the next question, which was actually designed for Haikali Ndatulumukwa. Mr. Haikali Ndatulumukwa, this question is actually mirroring Martin Bosire's comment. Specifically, it's on the fact that farming is not being seen as something trendy by a lot of young people, not as interesting or not as trending. So my question to you, Mr. Haikali Ndatulumukwa, if you can hear us, is how have you, through your organization Agriculture for Youth, how have you been able to at least convince young people that yes, there's actually some good in agriculture, not just to be wearing your tie and your coat and go into the office? Mr. Haikali Ndatulumukwa, the floor is yours. Mr. Haikali. So I think Mr. Haikali's connection has dropped. Patricia, you want to answer that specifically in terms of the trendiness of agriculture? If you can unmute, please. Thank you.
Sure. So before I answer that one, I think I will link it to a question that I might have forgotten from a gentleman called how I found my niche, and then I'll now go to the trendiness, right? If it's okay with you.
Yes.
So how I found my niche myself was I had to go through a process of trial and error in a way. When I landed in agribusiness first, it was more production. It was more natural to think of agriculture or rather agribusiness as a way, as a product of production. Like just go to a farm, get seed, start doing something, which was good because it taught me so much of the dynamics that one has to, go through trying to get a crop from the seed to the market. because there's so many people you have to engage at that point, you know. So as I did that, other people started coming to see what I was doing, and they were like, okay, I'd like to do what you are doing. Can you help me do what you're doing? So I ventured into service provision, of course, with the help of an expert and an agronomist, because now mine was crop production. So I focused on production and supporting farmers to also go into production. So that's how I found production and service provision. Then eventually, of course, as people got to learn that I was helping people to do production, I had to disseminate information. So start a blog or something, talk about what you're doing. So, and from there, people start getting more clients and so on and so forth. It was like a very organic, growth in that regard. But now, as a young person, and for me, it was because I did not have any formal training in agribusiness. Notice that. And then whatever formal training I had was in no way related to agribusiness. So it was trial and error. And it was a case of, I've just landed here, I don't know what to do, I need to do something. But now in the case of young people, now, one, you might have a form of training in any field, as I mentioned, tech, finance, business, and so on. What you do as a young person, of course, you have that feeling from within, I would love to do production. So explore that. Or I would love to create solutions for farmers in production. There's always a voice inside you that you know. If you don't want to go through the trial and error process, find out what has been your strengths. And now look at your strengths in regards to the agribusiness landscape. Do some little survey and figure out where you can plug yourself in. So that's one way of looking at it. Or go through the trial and error process, then you find your niche. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Then now, as to how to make agribusiness trendy, we have a saying in Kenya where we say, ukulima, and I'm sure Tanzanians will understand this, ukulima si ushamba. They're two different things. Ukulima si ushamba. Ushamba in Kenya, I don't know if Tanzanians share the same. Ushamba is like those people who are backward, who used to live in the farms. The backward people, quote unquote, I'm not saying they're backward. They allegedly backward people who live on farms who have nothing to do with urban areas. They are called washamba. But then now the slogan is ukulima si ushamba. Farming is not backward. And then now we say kilimo, which is bigger than ukulima, which is now agribusiness. Cannot be ushamba at all. It cannot be backward. Yeah. So how to make this trendy? There was a lady I saw another clip that was trending the other day, where she said, let's make agriculture sexy. And there was equal criticism as there was equal support to that statement. And people were wondering, how do you make agribusiness sexy? Agribusiness is a serious thing, or it's something that people do. It's not sexy. But I guess what she meant was something like, let's make it attractive to the youth. I don't know if all of you agree with that definition of let's make agribusiness sexy. And how are we going to do this? Encourage the youth to realize that from whatever field they are in, they can plug into agribusiness and add value to it. You don't have to be in the farm. You don't have to be in the cattle pen to be in agribusiness. Now let's stop looking at it as agriculture. Let's look at it as agribusiness and treat it like any other business that is supposed to make profits. And of course, we have some losses here and there. Any business can have profit. We can't just say it's a profitable thing. Yes. So how do we make it attractive to the youth? Let the youth realize it's something that anyone can plug into. Interact with farmers, figure out how you can help them. Start looking at agriculture as a lifeline, not as a necessity. We used to say basic needs, food, shelter, and clothing. And especially for food. The issue of food. We used to just say, for me to live, I need to eat. But now we have to look at it like, agriculture is not only supposed to give us food, it can also give us a lifeline. You can even produce some things you don't eat. Who eats cotton? Nobody. But that is agribusiness still. So I don't know how to put it, but youth should be able to understand that you can plug in. It's not something done by the less educated. I mentioned that earlier on. And anyone can plug in. It's not done by the less educated. There are so many opportunities in that value chain. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And
thank you.
And I think we should also sell images of young people doing this and succeeding, so that more young people can get to plug in. And we give true stories. I don't like it when in my country they give these super successful stories that make people think, wow, I can only go in there and make so much money within a short time. No, We need to give the very realistic stories so that people can see what were the challenges and how can I come in to solve that challenge and be able now to make progress. And like that farmer who did not make it, you know? Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Patricia Jepkorir. Thank you so much, Sara Edewor. We are at this moment where we're transitioning to another very important program, but I wouldn't want to be the one to make this transition because we are continuing with this program. So allow me to invite Sara Teri Ezra, who is the programs director at TCDC, who can also, I think she's befitting to provide that transition, and also she could probably say a word of gratitude to His Excellency, to also Patricia, to also Sara for you being here. We are having the pre-launch of Youth Hub Arusha, which is happening right now. But I want to invite our programs director, Sara Ezra Teri, if you may, when your video comes on, if it's possible, or when your mic unmutes, that's when I'll know that we are ready to go with this. Oh, it's unmuted. Wonderful. Yes. So, Sara, over to you. You can choose where to begin. I see His Excellency, the Deputy Delegation Head, is on the call. Dr. Sara has been also with us. Patricia Jepkorir has been on the call. Mr. Ndatulumukwa from Namibia just texted me on WhatsApp. His connection wasn't so good, where he was, so he sent his apologies. Over to you, Sara, to provide those appreciation remarks for this session, and then just share a brief as to where Arusha, the Youth Hub Arusha, what it is about. Over to you, Sara.
Thank you, Franklin. And I don't know who's on the tech side. Please help me with the video as well. I don't know how to undo that. Fantastic.
Oh, yeah, there you are. There you are.
Okay, great. Good afternoon, everyone from Chile, Arusha. My name, as introduced by Franklin, is Sara Ezra Teri, and I am the programs director here at TCDC. It's quite a pleasure to have had this day, and happy International Youth Day to everyone. So hongera sisi. Thank you, Your Excellency Emilio, Rossetti, and all the speakers for really taking time and indulging us on this day and talking about the theme for this year's International Youth Day. I think it goes without saying, and you've also re-emphasized it, that youth and agriculture, and what space agriculture actually has within our economy, within transforming, our trajectory even as youth is quite understated, and we need to take it, as serious business. But also, if we look at it from the, I think, food security, food system, and let's not also forget what we're contemplating with when we start thinking also about our brothers and sisters who are in, war-torn areas, who don't have access to, food, and what we as part of that ecosystem can play and or influence, as well as also climate and what's that doing for us on the continent. So thank you to all the guests, panelists for your words, and also for everyone who engaged. As Franklin has said, continue to post the questions on the chat. I've been following that, and let's have this discussion, because it's real and it's our time anyway to influence that future. There's no one doing that for us at this point. Yes, just a quick transition then to the Youth Hub Arusha. This is a project that TCDC is launching. Well, today's the pre-launch event, but we'll have a more formal one towards the end of the year. But essentially, as noted, for those who don't know our center, we are a center that has been in Tanzania for the past 54 years. And we have been working in capacity development, especially in areas around leadership, governance, development. Now, one of the things we are part of a more global network in terms of part of an organization called Action Aid, which also deals with social justices or injustices around the world. And part of the group that we are very passionate and look at our youth and women as well, but youth is quite a big component of that. Now, given that is that our work, especially under this flagship of the You Lead or You Lead Africa program, we have quite a vibrant youth program, which emanated from, of course, TCDC, Tanzania, with partnership with the East Africa community, and is growing wings across the region, but also across the continent. But then in thinking about how do we, at times with this space, we do realize, given our own experience, that one of the, or some of the complaints that come is youth do not have access to some of these platforms where they can influence policy, where they can talk to whoever is, impacting on them, where they have the resources to come together and learn together, do things in camaraderie, in solidarity. So this is that kind of idea in terms of why don't we create a space within this northern region, and particularly in Arusha, that's a youth hub that we could bring the youth together, youth serving organizations, interested youth, and to use our premises. Like said, you can go to our, actually, I think on YouTube, there's something around the center where you can see it's a vast space. We've got a beautiful space, which, enables learning, which enables networking beyond the short courses and capacity development trainings we have. We have very key partnerships and flagship programs which see people from all over the world collaborate with us. So with regards to how can we provide a space that is open for the youth in this region to be able to engage and utilize on a practical level? How do we create a space that is safe for these types of engagements? How do we ensure that we are also leaning as an organization on feminist principles, of leading organizations and self and transparency, and ensuring that we're also infusing this into how youth are engaging and interacting. How do we also co-influence? We understand we come also with, as a center with good leverage, with good network. So how do we also give that back to the community, to the society, to the youth in this area to ensure that, we are, doing something for greater impact? But then also, I think, maybe the last 2 points is then how do you also then ensure we're developing a space that's transforming just, our thinking and our ideas into something more of a reality. And given also our strategic positioning, then being able to make those linkages with various organizations. So I won't talk much because there's a colleague of mine who's going to come and now speak to you about what this Arusha or Youth Hub Arusha is, how it's designed, who are the members, what are the thematic areas, and other details that we hope then it doesn't just stick to then Arusha, but it connects us not only to the rest of Tanzania, but also to the rest of the region and the continent and even the globe, that we feel connected, that if there's something happening in Nigeria or Kenya, that the youth hubs, youth networks can get connected, can rally around common issues, can, be able to influence at policy level, whether it's within countries or even at AU level or wherever that we need spaces and youth voices to be, but also a very practical space for mentorship and ensuring that there's at least a practical way where youth can actually take up these roles in terms of their own leadership and resolving and solving their own problems. So, issues, initiatives, and ambitions. So let me leave it there, Franklin, and I think we'll take on Catherine, if I'm not mistaken, next to just walk us through that. But again, thank you everyone for taking your time and being and walking on this journey with us. I wish you a very happy International Youth Day, and let's not forget to keep at core to our issues, to keep making the noise. There's no one who's giving us that space. So to really own our space and not say we're the future, we're actually the now, and we need to continue working in that angle and spectrum. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Sara, Programs Director at TCDC, for that brief. Lisanu Kasa, I've been looking at you. You look like you have a question to Sara. We didn't have a provision for that, but being the radical space that we are, if you have a comment, please feel free to shoot. Lisanu, unmute yourself and mention whatever you wanted to mention. That's how radical MSTCDC is. If you feel whatever, you tell us where you're tuning in from, and 30 seconds to you. Unmute yourself, please. Unmute yourself. Unmute yourself. Lisanu, we can't hear you. Yes, we hear. We will hear you.
Yeah. Okay. Nice. Thank you very much. I'm Lisanu from Ethiopia. I'm working in People's House of People Representatives of Ethiopia, and I'm, a senior expert with regard to the policy issues. And I'm the newcomer to this webinar program seminar, I think. And then I'm too much happy. I'm too much enthusiastic with you. So I will attend in Gunmare next week time. And on today's agendas, I'm too much clicked with regard to these agricultural issues, with regard to lands. And I think, as we know, we are Africans. There are, traditional as well as legal practice with regard to land use, and on being ownership, and being the belongingness with the land. So, with regard to, here in Africa, there are urbanizations were being expanded, and then the urban lands were being, exploited or expropriated with the urban expansions. And then these issues will need, progressive policy. It requires progressive policy issues, and then I expect like that. And the practice were also, must be developed in this manner. And in the second round, the rural farmers, being, the way how they are acting, the way how they are using, and it's always locally, I think, it's not a kind of the modern way, but it's, the traditional way, and it's not productive. So, to make the land better productive, the agricultural policy issues must require new options must be developed, because still now the Africans have, the shortage of food insecurity like that. Such kind of, ups and downs were observed. So, in my opinion, this program is better, and we should cooperate those government officials and the other, even the policy analysts, agriculturalists, agroeconomists like that. And this will be, I think, good platform to have to join and to learn a lot of opinions and ideas.
Yeah. Thank you.
Me, this first time, then I thank you very much from Ethiopia, Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. Thank you very much.
We thank you to Lisanu. Thank you for that. And we welcome you to MSTCDC. MSTCDC, it's here in Arusha, a wonderful space. And I'm sure all of you, Patricia, Lisanu, Dr. Sara, whoever is across the borders, when the opportunity to travel affords itself, feel free to, when you're in Tanzania, MSTCDC in Arusha, it's a wonderful convening space which has different programs, as our programs director was mentioning. Allow me to now invite Catherine Mossir, who is the coordinator for Youth Hub Arusha, to guide us in the next segment. Briefly, thank you so much, Mr. Elisaph.
Thank you very much.
Catherine? Catherine, you wanna unmute?
Yeah, sure, sorry. So thank you very much, Franklin, and thank you, Sara, for giving the opening remarks. Thank you very much, Your Excellency, for still being here with us, and I'm happy to present this Youth Hub concept with you all and the previous speakers from the last session. And without further ado, please allow me to share my screen as I present this Youth Hub concept with you guys, all of you. So as Sara has already highlighted, I'll go directly to where we began this process of trying to come with the Youth Hub Arusha. And this process started around January this year, where TCDC, together with our partner Global Platform, we hosted a 2 days consultative meeting from 28th to 29th January, whereby we invited over 30 youth representative from youth-led organizations in Arusha and nearby regions. And here we decided to have this consultative meeting because as we have tried to come up with the Youth Hub idea, then we thought that it's great to include youth and have youth visions to what is the ideal space that they would want to have. And through that, consultation meeting, we were able to do a problem scoping to analyze what are the problems that youth who are facing right now. And these are not the problems that youth are facing just here in Arusha, but also in other areas as well. So we identified that one of the things that youth are facing is lack of resources and priorities, like that. For many years now, youth are not being prioritized in many government decisions and resource allocations, and also they are seen that they are not capable of doing things. So these were challenges that youth themselves were able to present and come up with. And another challenge that we got is lack of knowledge, skills, and commitment. And then this also showed that young people fail to be trusted. And this also through the platforms that are already existing, there's not enough mentorship and coaching to bring these young people, to give the skills, to capacity build them, and also to make them be able to present their voices. Another challenge that we identified through this meeting is gender and patriarchy system, that there are many people, many youth, not just women, but also men that are facing abuse in these areas of work, in the family space, in the community spaces. And this remains a challenge to young people because they don't have the safe space to present their problems. And another thing that we also identified through this consultation meeting was also underrepresentation, that we are now focusing more on the urban youth, and it's easier to even reach them, but now we are leaving behind the rural communities of youth. And now that's when we had collected and gathered this all these thoughts, and these are just in a nutshell, but there are many other problems that were listed. And through this consultation scoping, we also got youth to give us the ideas of what could be the ideal youth space. And we were able to collect many great and innovative ideas from young people. And they are very, very, very much presenting both rural and urban youth. And what did we do then as TCDC? So we analyzed all these problems, we analyzed all the challenges, we analyzed all the solutions that young people suggested to be the ideal youth spaces in the areas that they would want to work with. So Then after that, and after several consultations with the leadership team, with youth organizations, and with other youth experts, that's when then we came with the idea of the Youth Hub Arusha. So what's the Youth Hub Arusha then? So the Youth Hub Arusha is a community platform to engage, mobilize, sensitize, and capacity build more young people in the community level. That is alongside our ULEAD program, which is now at the continental level, as how Sara has mentioned. So this youth hub is to coach, to mentor, and to facilitate youth-centered solutions from the community and the grassroots level, to now bring this youth from the very grassroots level to be able to participate in these high spaces and high forums, and also to be able to present their voices in representable forums. In the Youth Hub Arusha, we say that we are an active youth community of interest creating solutions to youth needs. This is a vision that we are looking forward to. We are looking forward to having an aware community of youth, active community of youth with the common interest to bring solution to the most pressing youth needs. And now, how are we going to do that? So we are aspiring to mobilize, sensitize, and capacity youth with skills, which now these skills are going to create these platforms that not only facilitates the networking and bringing youth together, but also having that collective action for as youth together to be able to tackle the most pressing issues that we as young people we are facing in our daily lives. Now, after having the consultation meeting and being able to identify areas where youth were seeing that they wanted more capacity building on and more highlights on, and these were the areas that youth themselves suggested. So the Youth Hub Arusha scope of work now is through the 6 thematic areas, and one of them is economic opportunities and decent work for youth, which here it's in alignment with the SDG goal number 8. So here at this category, we are going to look at enlightening and raising awareness to youth to what other opportunities they can have that can bring and can be sustainable and bring them economic growth and make them be able to live there and achieve and be able to live their daily lives and so on. So here it's not only about the opportunities, but also what are the areas of trade, like right now when we are seeing the AFCFTA agreement, how can this now local youth be able to be engaged in such forums and know their innovative ideas, how can they work in that space? But also here is to also train the young people and also to make young people understand that they deserve having a better working environment and what's the better working environment for them and how they can be able to speak and also have that decent work around them. Another area is the gender equality and feminist leadership. And this is very interesting because as TCDC, this is also the area that we do work on. And here we envision to advocate more for gender equality and feminist leadership. And here it's not only about raising young leaders, young women, but the young leaders, both women and men, to be able to have the feminist skills and feminist principles in their leadership experiences. Another area is the youth participation in leadership and governance. How are we going now to have these youth that aspire to be in leadership areas. And here it's also another space that we could also see intervening with the TCDC and its capacity building and programs. And here we're going to capacity build youth, but also to ensure that we have the two-way dialogue conversations with leaderships and government people to be able to achieve most of this youth work that we are doing. Then other focus area is the promotion of healthy living and well-being. That apart from just having all this good life, economic sustainability, but then youth also need an ideal safe space to discuss what are the things that are endangering their lives. And here we are also going to focus on the most pressing things, but not spoken by many, the mental health. How are we going to give young people space to be able to express themselves, to be able to be themselves? And expression can be through any form of art or any other way that someone wants to express. Now, the Youth Hub Arusha give that safe space for youth to be able to express their emotion and social well-being. Another category is the youth action against climate change, that as we all understand that climate change is now a global issue affecting all of us. But now, as the little research that we have done, it's youth can fail to relate how they engage in their climate change and what are their actions that they can take to be able to tackle these climate changes, as youth right now are the first generation to experience the changes and the effects of climate change. So here we are trying to do the advocacy campaigns to make youth understand what are the actions they can take to be able to tackle with the climate issues. The last category is the sports, arts, and culture. And here we are trying to give youth the opportunity to learn and build more skills in the areas of art and the culture that we have, but also how they can also be interactive and stop living their inactive lives and be more active and vibrant. Now, after those all the areas, now what are our sensitization areas? At the Youth Hub Arusha, we aim to build capacities and raise awareness of young people in the areas of rights and the opportunities that they have, but also to promote and coordinate advocacy efforts, to generate the two-way dialogues between young people and governments to make people understand what are the opportunities they can have in government platforms, and also to lead the Arusha region in the youth research. And this is for the purpose of presenting or making evident youth voices from the youth themselves. Now, the Youth Hub Arusha now, we are launching digitally, but we actually have this piece here at TCDC, which we are going to launch by the end of the year, as Sara mentioned. So we welcome all the youth and young people around the region to have this space and own it and have community ownership of the space to share knowledge and skills, a space to co-work whenever they have they need the space and they have to do their work, and also a place to connect and organize. Where do we scratch these ideas from the beginning is from this space. So we welcome all the youth from around Arusha and nearby regions to leverage on this space and to also use it. Now I'm happy to present to you the team of the Youth Hub Arusha. Youth Hub Arusha is initiated by TCDC, but actually it's a community-owned program. And through this community-owned program, it's going to be led by youth themselves. And these youth are from youth-led and youth-serving organizations from Arusha region. And I'm going to go through just quickly the consortium members, as they are all going to present what's next and the activities that we are going to do next in the next few slides. And the first consortium member is Ubuntu Hub, and Collins Kimaro is the lead, as he is the founder of the Ubuntu Hub, and they are lead on the economic opportunities and decent work for youth category. Another consortium member is Magedalena Massanja from Conficare Tanzania, and they are lead in the gender equality and feminist leadership. Another is Vincent Uhega. He is the executive director of Voice of Youth Tanzania. This is VOYOTA in short terms, and they are leading promotion of health and living and well-being category. Another consortium member is Geoffrey Julius, founder of IKESA Africa, who are leading youth action against climate change. And another is Doreen Elisaph from Vision for Youth. She is the programs coordinator, and Vision for Youth are leading the youth participation in leadership and governance. The last one is Shadrach Boyer, who is the youth representative from Cultural Arts Center of Makumira, and they are leading sports, arts, and culture. So thank you very much. I'll return the mic to Franklin, as he is going to moderate the session before we go to what's happening next to the Youth Hub Arusha. And now we are going to welcome the consortium members.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Catherine, for that elaborate, that informative session. Allow me to invite Collins Kimaro, the founder of Ubuntu Hub. We will try to go a little faster because we are short of time. We want to finish within the next 30 minutes as we promised. And then Doreen, then we will go like that in that order. So Collins, over to you to share with us what's happening next, especially your input as founder of Ubuntu Hub and Ubuntu Hub as an organization and a partner of Youth Hub Arusha. Collins, over to you.
Thank you very much, Franklin. Distinguished speakers, distinguished participants, happy International Youth Day 2021. We are very delighted to be a part of Youth Hub Arusha as Ubuntu Hub, which is an innovation hub that aims to empower young entrepreneurs based here in Arusha, Tanzania. As Catherine brilliantly mentioned, we are delighted to lead economic opportunities and decent work for youth thematic area. How can we help this wonderful opportunity of this large youth population really be able to have sustainable livelihoods and economic growth? To do so, we invite young people to participate in the first two events that we're planning under this thematic area. The first event, I'm not sure if we have the slide, Franklin, to show, is called Tubonge Digital 21st Century Jobs. This aims to be a discussion to really highlight the reality on the ground in terms of the new jobs and the new skills that are required to access jobs in today's 21st century world. We're planning to have a panel discussion, bringing in young professionals from different sectors to share to our young people what are the real requirements at the moment, and how, as young people, how can we develop the necessary skills? This panel discussion will take place in October 2021. So if you follow at Youth Hub Arusha, you're able to find out more information about this. The second activity is joining the celebration of Global Entrepreneurship Week, which happens around the world in November 8th to 12th. And this year, as part of Youth Hub Arusha, we would like to showcase young entrepreneurs really on the ground, grassroots entrepreneurs that have done amazing things, especially in terms of how they've built resilience in this complicated COVID-19 situation. And in doing so, we hope to share their lessons, their best practices that can inspire more young entrepreneurs and also allow the opportunity for us to learn from each other as we all look to build resilience. So this second activity under this thematic area will happen between November 8th to 12th, which will be a digital campaign to showcase these young entrepreneurs. And we invite all participants today, as well as your networks to participate in this, where you can easily follow online by following the page at Youth Hub Arusha. Thank you very much, Franklin. I hand over the mic back to you.
Thank you, Collins, for that. We look forward to those elaborate session of activities under the cluster that you'll be leading. I think we can now invite Doreen. Doreen, if you can hear us. Doreen? Doreen? Awesome. Doreen, who is the project coordinator at Vision for Youth. Vision for Youth is also a member of Arusha, of Youth Hub Arusha. Over to you, Doreen.
Thank you very much. My name is Doreen from Vision for Youth. Briefly, currently we are celebrating 10 years anniversary of Vision for Youth. So I'm very happy that we are celebrating at the same time we are joining the Youth Hub in Arusha. Vision for Youth is a youth-based organization aiming at changing youth lives. And in Youth Hub Arusha will be in youth participation in leadership and governance. I'm trying to go as quickly as I can. We have activities that aim at improving youth participation in decision-making roles. I think I had this in TCDC. Someone said, if you are not at the table, you are the meal or you are the dessert. So we want youth to be at the table, to be the decision makers, to participate in policy makings, to making changes in their lives through political decisions. And we have two activities. One of them is youth platform in good governance and leadership, which aim at involving youth in decision-making roles or bodies. Another activity is supervision and coaching of youth progress. After involving them in decision-making or taking roles in these platforms, we want to see their progress. We want to see where they are at. So that's our second activity, which its objective is to make youth understand their roles in development progress. That is all.
Thank you so much, Doreen, and congratulations on 10 years. Vision for Youth. That's wonderful.
You are welcome. We are going to Mount Kilimanjaro on September.
Oh,
yeah.
So there's a mountain climbing expedition as part of the commemorations.
You are all welcome. I'll send you the link and everything so we can climb together and plant the Vision for Youth flag at the top of the mountain.
Thank you, thank you. Probably the others who are not in Tanzania will climb virtually. I don't know how we can do that. Thank you, Doreen. Allow me to introduce Representative Magedalena.
It's all possible nowadays. We have global Zoom and climb.
Yes, thank you. Magedalena Massanja, if you can hear me, invite you now from Comfy. Magedalena? Comfy Care Tanzania Representative Magedalena Massanja to speak about the gender equality and feminist leadership pillar. Okay. Then allow us to move to, I think we can move to the promotion of healthy living and well-being. We can move to the promotion of healthy living and well-being, which is being led by Shadrach. Okay, let's speak about the sports, arts, and culture. The Cultural Art Center representative, CAC representative. Shadrach, if you can hear me.
Yes, I can hear you.
Awesome, Shadrach. Kindly share with us about the Cultural Art Center and how it will be leading the sports, arts, and culture pillar of Youth Hub Arusha. as a consortium member. Welcome, Shadrach.
Thank you. Okay, so the Cultural Arts Center is a part of the Tumaini University, Makumira Arusha. It's an education organization that is geared towards creating more awareness and knowledge on the various Tanzanian cultures in the northern region to everyone around this region. And for the activities that we have planned for the Youth Hub, the first one is a dance camp. So for about more than 4 years now, we've been doing dance camps, which simply involve bringing together a lot of young people to learn various styles of dances and music coming from the rich cultures in Tanzania. And we think that is a great activity to also do within the Youth Hub, because from the support that we can also get from other consortium member organizations, then meaning we can reach a wider group of young people and actually cause a great impact for the camp. And at the same time, as among the goals of the Youth Hub is to expose youth into more diverse economic opportunities that are out there right now in the community, there are plenty of financial opportunities also in the area of arts, and as it will also continue carrying our identity as Tanzanians. And for the second activity is a culture day. So this will be on 21st of May. So as maybe most would know, it's the World Day for Cultural Diversity. That is 21st of May. And so it can be a day where there can be activities involving learning, celebrating, and creating conversations on the diverse cultures of Tanzania and Africa as a whole. And additionally, there can be games and various sporting activities together with a musical concert in celebration of the African culture. So those are the two main activities that we have planned as CAC for the Youth Hub Arusha. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I think that was Vincent announcing his arrival. Shadrach, thank you so much for sharing about the Cultural Arts Center and also the dance camp aspect that's being planned. Vincent Uhega, if you can hear us, Vincent. Vincent is the Executive Director of VOYOTA, and Vincent will be sharing with us specifically about how the Voice of Youth Tanzania will be at least coordinating in promotion of healthy living and well-being as a Youth Hub Arusha consortium member. Vincent, over to you.
Hello, Franklin, thank you very much. So sorry for coming late. You know, we have a lot of youth events in town going on, and we are part of it. Yes, for our side, my name is Vincent Uhega from Voice of Youth Tanzania. So we come up with this idea, afya yangu mtaji wangu, my else is my capital. So for the starting point, we plan to start with a mental awareness to the young people. As we know, many young people in the world are facing a lot of mental challenge due to the challenge of due to the pandemic crisis. You know, a lot of young people have lost their job, the business fall down, and other challenges. So we see there's a need of starting this program, especially for mental health issues, that we can, through this afya yangu mtaji wangu in short. Hello.
Hello, Vincent. Yes, Vincent, we hear you.
Yes, sure. So is this Arusha Youth Hub as a space for the expression of emotional, physiological, and social well-being for young people. This session will be free expression zone to be able to make young people know they are important of mental well-being and the expression of challenges they're facing through art and other expression platforms. So I think this will be the key starting for young people through this hub. Thank you very much, Franklin.
Thank you so much, Vincent. And finally, we are going to finish with the climate action component. I'll invite Catherine to speak about the climate action component of Youth Hub Arusha. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Franklin. And as we presented the 6 categories of the Youth Hub Arusha, another activities that we are very happy to introduce to the community is the Global Climate Campaign that we are doing with not only as MSTCDC, but we are doing it with the rest of the ActionAid partner organization. And here we're doing it with the Youth Community of Interest organization, and we are doing together with 10 different countries. And through this campaign, we are trying to link and identify what are the climate issues affecting youth locally and what can be the solutions that we bring to them. And this is to initially first build awareness by mobilizing this community of young people, but also to give them the capacity to do these campaigns, as to also keep mobilizing the community on the climate change and its effect, and also how to tackle and to have sustainable solutions that we can work with to tackle the global climate issues. So this is ongoing, and its climax is going to be on November at COP26, and we hope to also send some of our participants to attend COP26 and also to be able to address the local youth issues there. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Catherine, for wrapping up that segment in terms of getting to know specifically the action items and what's planned for this year and the areas under focus in Youth Hub Arusha. So allow me to now, of course, defer back to you, Catherine, as we launch now the pre-launch of Arusha, of Youth Hub Arusha. Over to you to guide us on this so that we can have this officially pre-launched here, and then we can call it a day and continue with commemorations. Elsewhere, we can allow people like Vincent and others to rush into other programs that they may have been putting on hold. Over to you, Catherine.
Thank you very much, Franklin. And I could welcome Sara to help us with the closing remarks.
Yes.
Yes,
Hi,
Sara.
everyone. Yes, I'm here. Thank you, everyone. The last component of this, which was the launch or pre-launch of the Youth Hub Arusha. Again, a massive congratulations to everyone, the presenters, the partners. It's great, and I've seen even in the comments that people are asking for the presentation, Kathy. There are people already reaching out to see how they can get involved. Like we say, yes, it's based in Arusha, but it doesn't limit it to the area, because all these efforts, in order for us to have impact at any level, have to be connected, and in order for them to be sustainable, have to be connected. So without, I guess, further ado, thank you to Ambassador for being on. I think I've seen you online till now, for your patience, and to all the speakers as well for your patience and being on this journey with us. The journey is long, but it's not impossible. So it's upon us in terms of concerted efforts, but also purposeful efforts, that we tackle youth issues one by one. It's my hope that at least for the Arusha team that's on here, or members that are on here, that you'll see yourself in any of these spaces. The spaces physically at TCDC, but as you can see, they're different partners. So any of that place, when you find yourself there, consider yourself part of the Youth Hub of Arusha. But with everyone on board, thank you once again for being part of this. We wish you all the best, and we welcome you back to engage with us, and invite us as well in any of the other forums and celebrations that you might have in the course of this week. So Franklin and Sodfa also for anchoring this set 2-hour session and keeping it on time. So thank you too for that.
You're welcome. Thank Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. Now over to you, Catherine, to officially lead the pre-launch opening. And ladies and gentlemen, feel free to drop your contacts on the chat, and our coordinator, Youth Hub Arusha coordinator, will reach out to you for the presentation. Thank you, and have a wonderful International Youth Day.
Franklin, Catherine, I don't think we're saying anything.
Yeah, Catherine, we are having difficulty seeing.
Paula, let me try to share again.
Yes, please. Yes, we can see it now.
Can you
Thank
see
you.
now?
Yes.
Okay.
Grand opening. Drum rolls, please.
Great.
Can we have the drum rolls that this is rolling?
Yes. The official launch of the Arusha Youth Hub Arusha. Yay.
Yep, reaction is all over.
Nice.
Good job,
Thank
Vincent.
you.
Well done.
Thank you.
Well done.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. So let us briefly end with a video about our center here, and we will call it a day.
Welcome to MS Training Center for Development Corporation. My name is Tammy Motter, and I'll be taking you around campus. MSTCDC is located in Arusha in northern Tanzania, only 30 minutes from Kilimanjaro Airport. For 50 years, the center has been a space of learning, reflection, convening, and building capacity for present and future leaders in a lively international atmosphere. MSTCDC is part of the ActionAid International Alliance, which works with communities and social movements engaged in struggles for global justice. Participants come here for short courses in development, governance, and leadership, our accredited academic programs, conferences, workshops, and cross-cultural Swahili programs. The center provides excellent facilities together with a quiet and pleasant atmosphere. The green environment is conducive for learning and reflection, and the experienced and welcoming staff of MSTCDC is ready to cater to everyone's needs. The campus can accommodate 250 participants, be it in hostels, shared double rooms, single rooms, or self-contained suites. The dining hall serves all meals, and the adjoining cafe with a lounge area makes for enjoyable networking and socializing. Our services include free Wi-Fi, a library, laundry service, transportation, and a stationery shop, local arts and crafts shop, as well as a range of recreational facilities from gym, squash, basket, tennis, and volleyball courts, soccer field, and bike rental. The morning and afternoon tea breaks at the Central Tea Banda gather the participants across the ongoing programs for re-energizing and sharing experiences. Local dance performances, live bands, barbecues, and bonfires can also be arranged upon request. Our fully equipped classrooms of different sizes will ensure ideal venues for learning and sharing knowledge, be it small sessions with 5 participants or large groups of 100+ participants. We warmly invite you to come and engage with us. Karibu sana, as we say in Swahili. Welcome. I hope you enjoyed this tour.
Japan, straight out of Kingston, Jamaica, represent for the master DJ country. And DJ
Okay, so to the question why can, I often think back to the past, the way TCDC has been perceived. It's been perceived as a fairly insular organization, as one that's focused on basic training, and one that really did not pay too much attention to a lot of the things that are happening around us. So we were looking for ways of, first of all, creating a sense of community around us, overcoming that notion of insularity, and beginning to build confidence around ourselves. And CAN became the platform that, for us, would do that for us.
It is such a beautiful platform for all these networks to actually find out synergies of collaborations and even just, exchanging ideas.
So for Cannes Festival, we had the knowledge sessions. As you know, Cannes stands for Knowledge, Arts and Networking Festival. The knowledge sessions were every day from 2 to 4, and we had 3 parallel sessions going on. We had a very exciting lineup of conversations. We touched on issues like Africa and China and that relationship there. We touched